Welcome to the Missouri Liberty Alliance. Today is Tuesday, August 24th, 2021. Hey gang, I hope you're having a wonderful day because guess what? The Pfizer vaccine's approved by the FDA, gang. Let's sing a song here. Celebrate good times, come on. Okay, awesome news, right? Governor's touting it all over his Facebook page. He's pretty excited about it, actually. And yeah, obviously this is a cause for celebration, but I just thought of something. The increased influence of big pharma on FDA drug advisory committees. Isn't the FDA pretty much funded by the pharmaceutical companies? Well, according to pretty much every source on the internet, in varying degrees, the answer is yes, even on the FDA's website. So they're influenced, of course, by the big companies that are sending their products for approval to the FDA, and the FDA approves them and sends them on after they collect a $1 billion check from the big pharma companies to approve their product in the first place. The FDA is mostly funded by big pharma, and this is the very same division of the federal government that we're depending to keep us safe. There's a conflict of interest here. So Governor Mike Parson, I'm not sure if you've looked into this or not, the FDA actually works for big pharma. I think we can pretty much agree that that's exactly what's happening, unless we're not going to talk about corporatism, fascism, or whatever you want, mercantilism. But that is the way it is. So the FDA approving a drug is not a cause for celebration, it's a cause for concern. This isn't working for you and me, FDA. This is working for big pharma. So wanted to say that, link down the page below here so you could take a quick look at it. I wanted you guys to see it because the comments are actually hilarious. There's two camps. There's two camps on the comment section. One is people, and I actually left one here too. One of the comments, types of comments, is, Governor Parsons, why did you do this? Why is it you keep talking about individual choice? People make up their own minds, but you push the vaccine so hard. And by the way, that would be a true representation of what most of them are. However, there's the other camp, which is Democrats saying, look at the Republicans, smashing the idol of their demigod, Senator Parson. Look at the Republicans eating their own. And that's basically it. It's a real feces show on the comment section for this. But Governor Mike Parsons also, I need to let you know one more thing. The Missouri Liberty Alliance, Casey Rich and Jimmy D have reported this. Governor Mike Parson is not going to clarify his statement about divisions between small people inside government indoctrination camps. So he is not going to clarify. He said he already clarified, but he didn't clarify about the divisions between, small people inside government indoctrination camps. My advice to you, keep calling. Be an irritant. Governor Parsons, you work for us. Your staff works for us. Clarify your statement or back off of it. Those are your two choices. We're not going to stop. Missouri Liberty Alliance is here to make Missouri the best and freest state humanly possible, and you're not helping. So if you're not going to clarify, or if you're not going to back off your statement, just be prepared for the never-ending phone calls to your staff about this. So, and we've find some other options here to see if we can get you to respond to that. Governor Parsons, we love you and we hate you at the same time, and right now we hate you. You need to be, especially when it comes to something like this, talking about dividing the kids, in a speech you did, and you're not clarifying, and you're saying, no, I was talking about clarifying, or talking about dividing them versus masking status. No, you didn't. That's not what you said. So say you misspoke, or literally clarify your statement. Those are your two options here. Okay, let me get off the governor here because my blood pressure's going up. But this will be linked down below as well. I want you guys to understand, when the FDA approves something, it's because Big Pharma has paid the FDA to approve something. This is a very simple concept. Okay, now on to Travis. A good friend Travis with the Prepared Homestead. We did have a meeting there on Sunday. I have not been able to get out a video until now. I did go. I did speak at the meeting, and Thank you very much, Travis, again for letting me come in and talk to the larger group there. It's a great opportunity to talk about the Missouri Liberty Alliance. Travis talked himself during this meeting as well, and on a concept of a community or bringing people together of like mind. Now, Travis and I think alike, different causations, but same realities. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit because I wanted to address, and I'll come back to the meeting and everything because I want to talk about what a couple from Rhode Island said. By the way, I want to say hello to everyone that I saw there at the meeting. It was very nice meeting all of you. And there was a lot of folks there from the Missouri Liberty Alliance. So thank you guys for coming and supporting Travis and supporting us at the Missouri Liberty Alliance. And literally participating in the project of bringing like-minded people together to get great things done, because that's what we're doing. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about Pinball Preparedness. And now, I don't think he's in Missouri, but I've been subbed to his channel for over a year, under 5 years. I can't remember how long I've been subbed to him. Great guy. He's another prepper. He's kind of like Travis, except I believe he's in another state, and I'm not sure what state. I think it might be Tennessee. But he put out a video saying prepping-doing something. And so I'd like to give a message to Pinball. And if any of you guys know him, let him know that we're giving him some love here from the Missouri Liberty Alliance. He was talking about actually what can we do. We see this freight train coming down the track. What can we do other than just prepping? But let me suggest that they look into what the Missouri Liberty Alliance is doing, how we're bringing people together. The same concept Travis was talking about in his meeting, we're doing as well with the Missouri Liberty Alliance. A slightly different purpose, for bringing people together, but there's benefits always to getting like-minded people together. There's always benefits. They're actually all over the place. They're scattered around like leaves around trees during fall. So many benefits to doing that. And I'll get into that, like I said, in just a moment. But I wanted to make sure that you guys knew he's talking about the same basic concepts that Travis is. You know what they say? Great minds think alike. I think that's true here. And Pinball is actually doing his own meetings as well. So he's on the same, wavelength as Travis is. Let's talk about bringing people together and what the benefits are as far as Missouri Liberty Alliance is concerned. Because I'm not qualified enough to talk on the prepping side. I'm a prepper, but I've never, basically thought about doing videos about it or talk. I don't talk about it much. There's a lot of preppers out there that don't like talking about prepping. And I happen to be one of those guys, but I'll be very vocal about the Second Amendment and pro-life and things of that nature. So, okay, and this actually is for Pinball, and I'll tell you my thought process as Pinball, why I was putting this Missouri Liberty Alliance together with, Jimmy D. When I was working SEPA, the Second Amendment Preservation Act, and I met a lot of people, talked to a lot of folks, not to mention politicians, but one thing I did find out while I was doing it is people who are into the Second Amendment are also into prepping. And they're into, the Second Amendment, your right to bear arms. They're into prepping, and they're also into gold and silver. And then I found a lot of them were into school choice or homeschooling or private school, an alternative to public school. But my political DNA going back over 20 years is pro-life. I mean, many of you know this, that know me personally. I've been very involved in pro-life causes, both on the Catholic and Protestant side here in Missouri for over 20 years. So one thing I found working with them is the pro-life people happen to be into school choice. Most of them are into the Second Amendment. And so it's overlapping causations, all over the place. And those who are into Second Amendment stuff or right to bear arms also happen to be into property rights. And almost all of them want smaller government. Okay? You see where I'm going with this now. So what I thought is there needs to be an organization to kind of tie them all together so that we can get good legislation done in the state of Missouri. Example, let's say this Liberty Alliance has 2,000 members, and they're spread across all these other organizations. They come from pro-life, they're gold and silver folks, they're Second Amendment folks, they're prepping folks, they're gold and silver folks. Once again, liberty-minded people coming together. So there's a really good bill out there, a pro-life bill, and it's one that, would really be good for the state of Missouri. So that way the Alliance can let everyone know, and all these other individual organizations, because, we're centralized here. We kind of, bring all of them together to let all of them know, heck, there's this great pro-life bill. We need to get on board. We need to fix it, refine it, or just push it through. And so basically that information can go out to, people that are in the Second Amendment organizations that wouldn't normally know that this bill even exists, or that it's going through a process, or it's even past committee. So that was the original point of it, but it was literally about the Second Amendment at first, as Jimmy tells. Jimmy actually, the whole story about us coming together was protecting SEPA and making sure we go through legislation and make sure it's not damaged. Or corners are cut off of it over the years through different pieces of legislation. But the bigger idea was literally to create a network of folks to make sure that, number one, only constitutional legislation gets through the state of Missouri. Number two, unconstitutional legislation is thrown away. Number three, and maybe even more importantly, old laws that are unconstitutional are gotten rid of. And we have committees to do that. And we have mechanisms in the state of Missouri to actually get that done. So we can actually look at some of these old laws and actually get rid of them through the committees to downsize government. So that was the etymology of the Missouri Liberty Alliance. It is basically making the state of Missouri the best, freest state with the most liberties out of all 50 states of the Union. So Pinball, and if you want to talk to me, email me. It's MissouriLiberty@outlook.com. I'd be happy to talk to you about it, but it seems to me that you're thinking along the same lines I am. And maybe it's not for you to do, but you know someone who would like to do a project like this, and then get all those communities in your state, the pro-life guys, the Second Amendment guys, the gold and silver guys, the prepping guys, get them all together. So you guys can actually get good legislation done in your state. You can downsize government. You can minimize the federal government's impact. Or even reach into your state. That's what the Second Amendment Preservation Act was all about, but you can do it with everything. It's called anti-commandeering doctrine. But at any rate, Pinball, please consider giving me a call. I'd love it if something like that got started in your state. So let me know if you're interested. Okay, so basically coming back to Travis, who's a Missourian. Travis holds meetings about monthly. And we had a great meeting. A lot of people came from, different states. I talked about gold and silver. And I do want to talk about something real quick because it equates to what I was talking about with bringing people together and why we have to do it this way in a state kind of program versus a federal program. So, case in point, I've always said that DC is like a sinkhole that goes to the center of the earth. It's too much work, too much time to fill it, to drain that swamp, to get the swamp creatures out, to get rid of the corruption. However, on a state level, it's actually quite different, and I can explain reasons why, but I want to give you an example of when your state has gone bad. So some folks came from Rhode Island and visited with us. They were actually there for the meeting, and they're just wonderful folks. I hope they moved to Missouri. They're looking for land, I think, but he told me about a bill that became a law in the state of Rhode Island. And what that bill is basically abortion pretty much up to, basically the delivery date. So we're talking, that's just monstrous. I know New York State did that as well. But here's the point of the story. He said 80% of the people in Rhode Island didn't want it, did not want that as a law. They passed it anyway. Okay, this is the reason why we have a problem with DC. They don't care what the people want. They literally don't care. And all they do is they pretend they care about you in about 6 months every election cycle. And then as soon as they get elected again, it's business as usual of not caring about the people they're supposed to be representing. So DC, I say, is lost. Now let's go microcosm here as opposed to the macro. So in the state of Missouri, it's not like that. things don't generally happen that way in the state of Missouri. There's a couple of things we dealt with, like an increase in gasoline tax that no one wanted that got through. But that is one of the exceptions to the rule. Generally, that kind of stuff doesn't happen. That was pure corruption. And Schatz and the governor will end up having to answer for that at some point in time. However, in the case of Rhode Island, when you have a state legislator that is that corrupt, basically you have to go further into your local levels and clean up the cities and counties of corrupt officials. Just like I'm saying, leave DC alone, don't mess with DC, work with your state. But if your state is already that corrupt, like for instance Illinois, then you pretty much have to go down to the town level. And it's a lot more work. You have to get a lot more people involved when you actually take it on the town or the county level. So whether or not it's worth it, or moving to a state where they don't have that problem, actually it seems more attractive to move to another state that doesn't have the problem. So that's, once again, the microcosm. In the state of Missouri, we don't have it that bad. They're generally very responsive to us at in Jefferson City, in our state capital. So, we're going to concentrate on the state level and clean up our own backyard right here in Missouri. And in the state of Rhode Island, cleaning up at the state level looks like it may be more trouble than most people realize, and it's probably better to start cleaning at the city level and at the county level, and then work your way up to the state. The point of cleaning up the state of Missouri and any other states, like for instance if Pinball decided to start a similar organization, or know someone who wants to start an organization like that, is to literally clean up all the states, and then the states can come together and clean up the country. And that's, the concept. If we are to survive. And by the way, I'm not talking about basically America being, just destroyed and it's just gone, and it's just, a footnote in some history book. I'm talking about basically the American ideal, that is not practiced anymore, but it's still celebrated in a lot of our culture, which is, the American dream, freedom, liberty. But we don't really know what those words are anymore in many cases. We certainly don't teach our kids very well what these things are, what the right to bear arms actually means and where it comes from. Where's the power? Where does it come from to give a man the right to defend his life? And the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Second Amendment are very specific about that. It comes from our Creator. So government shouldn't be able to take it away. Now, the whole purpose of having a public school system is to teach the kids about the Constitution and about their rights. We don't teach that anymore either. Now we're going into school choice. Sorry guys, I'm going to finish this up here real quick. I was very, very fortunate to be able to have a meeting with Jennifer Rosebrock. And she is actually with this organization, SEAM, which is the, in fact, I'm trying to memorize SEAM, Children's Education Alliance of Missouri. And that is school choice. So any possible permutation or combination of what you can do to improve your child's education based on your means, where you live, resources, community, all that stuff is stuff that we need to talk more about in the state of Missouri, because once again, we even talk about a governor who's talking about dividing up small people inside government indoctrination centers. If that's the case, you may want to go a different direction with your child's education. So we're going to talk about school choice on Sunday night. Jennifer will actually be in our live stream. That'll be at 7:30 p.m. This is an organization that is in Missouri and is only for Missouri. So you could see the appeal for the Missouri Liberty Alliance. This is an organization that cares about kids' education, and they care about their funding too. They don't take funding from the federal government. So basically there's no influence there, from the Fed into this organization. But Jennifer was nice enough to meet with me today and help me understand the organization a little bit better. I'll link her website down below, so if you guys can look into it, basically before we have her on the live stream. I encourage all of you to come in and chat with Jennifer, ask questions, and take advantage of the resources the organization has. Every version of school choice, from one end of the spectrum to the other, from public school all the way to homeschooling or group homeschooling, is stuff that they know about. So we need to make sure that our kids get the best education humanly possible in the state of Missouri. These people can help, and they are of Missouri. So it's time, basically, this is what the Alliance is all about, is actually getting these organizations that care about the community, the organization, our kids, the welfare of the people of the state, the finance health of the state, getting them all together into one practical location where everyone can actually participate in the process and actually make a difference to make Missouri the best and freest state. Now, one final word for pinball. Pinball, I think you're in Tennessee. I challenge you, sir. Tennessee is a great state. There is no doubt about it. It has problems, but so does Missouri. So I think we should have a contest who can make their state the greatest. And so pinball, and by the way, I'm not trying to put pressure on you, buddy, because the Missouri Liberty Alliance loves you, and I know that people in Travis's network absolutely love you. But this is the point. It's not just Missouri, gang. We're doing it for our state, but we can't do it for Tennessee or Ohio or for Utah. They have to do it for themselves. But we can certainly help show the way. And for those states who want to do something like this, this is really a great way to do it. You get your people involved. You basically stop all the bad legislation from getting through. You start going after corruption in your state, and you clean it up. And you get like-minded people, like Travis talks about in his videos, to actually run for political office. And you support them and you get them into office. And then we don't have to worry about our politics quite as much when you have people that have liberty and freedom on their minds. With every piece of legislation that they look at, they've got that on their brain. And so we need people that aren't corrupted, people that do care about the children, do care about other people in the state, and the decisions that these people make inside these halls of power in these state buildings need to remember the ramifications, the broad ramifications of the things they do. And that's a message I think that every state needs to send to its state legislature. But the people have to build these organizations. They have to. State legislatures are basically under the impression that no one cares because no one calls them. No one, writes some emails. No one, very few people do that. So it's time to turn up the heat on these guys and let them know we're watching. Okay, that's all I have for now. So a salute to Pinball Preparedness. Love your channel, man. I love your messages. I love your insight. I love your wisdom. And I love your analysis. Keep up the good work. Travis, what else can I say, buddy? You're an awesome guy. You have awesome ideas. You have awesome meetings. Actually, he should have surgery and have some of his awesomeness removed to make it a little bit easier for the rest of us. Just kidding there, buddy. But Travis, I can't say enough good about you. Love you, brother. And thank you so much for putting up with me and Jimmy and my wife here at the last meeting. That's all I have for you guys for right now. Thank you very much for tuning in to the Missouri Liberty Alliance. May God bless you and everyone in your family. Take care, gang.